Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing Regicide. This is a little card game from TGG Games that actually you could just use a normal deck of cards to play, but it's a devilishly clever little game. So let's take a look at it and then get some final thoughts. Alright, so here's Regicide all set up. It's a very simple game with a very simple premise. The idea is that you're trying to take down this castle deck, and what's in the deck is basically the kings, queens, and jacks shuffled up per group with the jacks on top. And we're going to use the rest of the cards, which are called the Tavern deck, to battle our way through the royals and then hopefully win. This is a reference card that's going to tell you how much life and attack power each of the royal types has. So a jack has 10 attack and 20 health, the queen 15-30, the king 20-40. And there's also some basic information on the back. There are different rules for co-op, but in a solo game, you put these gestures to the side, and you can just use jokers if you're playing this in the normal card deck. And then you're going to draw 8 cards from the tavern, because that's your hand limit. So we got 8 cards. We can unfold them and see what we've got. And then I recommend organizing them by suit and number, because the suits really matter, as we're going to discuss in just the last part of this rules explanation. A lot of hearts. All right, so basically the cards that are in our hand are the cards that we're going to get to use to battle whoever comes up off of the castle deck. So let's go ahead and flip our first one over and see. All right, so this time we have the Jack of Spades, and that's who we're going to fight as our first enemy. We know that the Jack of Spades has 20 health, so we're going to have to hit him for 20 because that's what it says in the card. And then he can keep hitting us for 10 until we do something about him. So what makes this game interesting is that the numbers on the cards are basically our attacks. So we're going to have to play one card or combos of cards at a time to get at this dude, and hopefully do that before he gives us too much damage. But the other thing is that we get to activate our suit powers. So each of the suits in this game has a power. Hearts allow you to take cards from your discard and put them back in your tavern deck, so it kind of replenishes your options and keeps that deck flowing. So we don't need the hearts too much yet, but we may have to use them because we have a lot. Clubs allow you to do double damage, which is very nice, and maybe something that I would choose to do against this guy. Diamonds allow you to draw new cards from the tavern deck up to your hand limit. So right now I'm at 8 cards. So I might not want to actually be drawing cards from here just yet because it's kind of a waste of my efforts, but again, you gotta do what you gotta do. And then spades normally allow you to shield. So a jack hits for 10. If I was able to play a spade, that would make the jack hit for 6. But in this case, that won't work because there is essentially a negation thing that's happening where the suit of the boss that you're fighting is immune to the suit power that matches them on the cards. So against the Jack of Clubs, this 8 would only be an 8, even though clubs double, but this 4 would give me 4 shielding. Against this Jack, this 4 doesn't work. I can't shield myself. However, I can use this 8 to hit this dude for 16. So you're basically just doing the best that you can with the cards that you have. This is essentially a hand management game. There are a couple of other fun surprises in here, so let's find an ace really quick. All right, here's an ace. So if you have an ace in your hand, these are animal companions, and you can pair them with another card. So let's say, for example, I wanted to pair this ace and this 8. I could. And then I would be attacking for 9, and I would get to put 9 cards from my discard back into the tavern. And if you weren't immune, I would also get to have 9 shield. So basically the aces let you bump your number by 1, pair with another card, and also use both suits. So you're gonna wanna do that to your advantage. And the other thing that's possible is that you can use combos of cards. So for example, if I wanted to play both of these 4s, I could, and I would get to do everything as if it was a total of 8, and I would get to use both suits. So essentially, looking at what you have and using it as efficiently as possible is the name of the game. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that these gestures work differently in multiplayer, but in solo, what they do is essentially if you are down to a really bad hand and you just need a refresh in order to keep going, you can play one of these in order to discard everything that's in your current hand and draw 8 new cards. So you have a couple of get out of jail free options that you might want to save for as late in the game as possible. And of course, if you want like the super bragging points, golden victory, you don't want to use them at all. And there are a couple of other rules quirks. Remember, you can only play one card at a time, so there's going to be an exchange between you and the bad guy. You could also choose not to play a card at all and yield and just take damage. but there's only going to be specific circumstances where you want to do that. As for taking damage, we'll talk about that really quick. So let's say that I don't know, hit this guy for 16. He's still going to be able to hit me back for 10. And essentially what I'm going to have to do to take that damage is discard from my hand a number of cards that equal 10 or more. So you have to at least hit 10. So I could get rid of this 8 and this 2. I could get rid of this 4 and this 6 for 10. I could do the 7 and the 3 for 10. I could do the 4, and the 2 for 10. However I want to hit 10, I have to match 10 or go over a little bit if I don't have good combos of cards to discard that exact amount. And that's Regicide. This is an extremely simple game with a lot of choices to be made all the same. And as you can see, it's pretty simple to play. There's also an app to guide you if you are worried about it the first time you get stuck. The app is free. If you are just playing the physical game and you want help, you can also pay to just play the whole game in the app, which I've actually found to be fun because I do have it on my iPad. All right, so that's Regicide. Let's do some final thoughts. All right, so now for some final thoughts. I completely get the hype about Regicide. People were really interested in talking about it when it first came out, and I still hear about it periodically, and now that I've played the game, fully get it. What a fun, like devilishly clever little game. And also, what a testament to the uses that a just normal pack of cards can still have. It's really cool to me that so many games can come from one standardized set of cards, and that's still true for Regicide. Even though I have the fancy version, you really could just play this with a normal deck of cards, and I think there's something special about that as well. So, this game, sometimes you get a bad draw and you aren't lucky, but that's just true of most games that involve a deck of cards and the randomization therein. What this game does offer you, though, is a lot of choices. And so you're constantly trying to manage your hand, thinking about, okay, like which royals are coming up? What powers am I not going to have access to maybe next round? What do I need to do now in order to both get myself through this particular fight and then give myself the best setup possible for the next one? Do I use this power or that one? When's the best time to play an ace? When's the best time to play a combo versus play the cards separately? This is one of those games that has a lot of cool little choices in a very simple setup. And I just think that there's a lot to be said for that. I also don't really regret having the special like Regicide edition of the deck because I think the art is pretty good. And there's just something sort of charming and neat about the way that it's done. I've also played this game multiplayer, and while it's not necessarily like amazing, it's a really good, quick kind of thing to play at the table when you're waiting for other people to finish a game on game night. Or I would absolutely bring this and, make my boyfriend play it with me while we're waiting for food at a restaurant. It's a very nice portable game that does translate pretty well to playing with others, although I think it's best solo. And then as a solo game, it's just such a nice pocket game. I've been playing a lot of big chunky stuff recently, but there is a lot to be said for something you can just put in your bag or put in your back pocket and pull out and play. And Regicide is a wonderful example of that. I personally have played it many times. I usually lose, although I've gotten a lot better with practice and I can usually make it to the kings now. But it's also one of those games that you're going to enjoy your learning curve. You're going to get better at it. You're going to find it interesting no matter what, because every time it turns out a little bit different. It's fun by yourself or with others, and it's cheap and it's simple. Like really, I mean, yeah, sometimes you get affected by the randomness of the cards, or, you just play wrong and something unlucky happens in the next round, but that's to be expected, and the game is short. So if this sounds like something that's even remotely fun for you, I truly recommend it. I also really like the app. There's a companion app to kind of help you math things out early on. So when you're first learning the game, you have a guide to keep you from messing up. And I also, I paid a little bit extra so that I could have the full game like on my iPad. And that's actually where I play the game mostly, because I can just sit there and boop, 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 and just play and play and play and play. I haven't burned out on it yet. I'm quite the fan of this game, and it's definitely going to be one of those games that I teach my students next year to pass time, and that just entertains me when I have a few minutes and want to play a game, possibly for years to come. I can see this being one that I still play long term, as opposed to something that entertains me for 5 minutes and I'm bored. So that's Regicide. This is a short review because it's a tiny little game, but I truly recommend it. People who are saying it's great are right, and it's just really impressive to me, like how creative you can get with the same deck of cards we've always had for hundreds of years, and there's still something new to be brought out of them. So, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, support my Patreon perhaps if you're feeling generous, and most of all, happy gaming.